ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side. We will not give in, not give up. We will not capitulate. We will not bow. We will not bend. We will survive.
The FBI showed up to his house.
Okay. Right.
So it feels like, before we get into it, let me play a clip from 10 days ago. He was on ABC. This is John Bolton, who was in the Trump cabinet the last time, right? He was part of, he was national security advisor last time. And he has been heavily critical of Trump after leaving because, you know, there was an insurrection and all of these things. And he's not a good guy. So let's just say this guy is not a good guy, but he has been very outspoken and critical of Trump after he was fired in 2019. And he wrote a book and he's been out in the streets. And 10 days ago, he was on with Jonathan Karl on ABC. And he said this.
Before you go, we're about to talk about Trump's retribution campaign we're seeing at the FBI and the Justice Department. You're obviously on his enemies list, at least Kash Patel's enemies list. Are you worried that they're going to come after you in some way? I mean, he's hinted at it before.
Well, I think he's already come after me and several others in withdrawing the protection that we had for from the Iranians for the attack on Qasem Soleimani. So I think, and I said in the new forward to the paperback edition of my book, I think it is a retribution presidency.
Well, today, Kash Patel's folk, the FBI, showed up to his Maryland home and his Washington, D.C. office, and they searched it for potential. They're investigating him on criminal charges of mishandling classified information, which is interesting because we know that there were boxes that were not supposed to be in Mar-a-Lago in the bathroom. We know that the president took those with him. We know that there were actual secret and very important documents that were taken out of the White House illegally the last time this man was in office, and now John Bolton is being targeted. I'm no John Bolton fan, but it just is interesting. Thoughts and prayers. You, JL, first, since you're a lawyer. How is this playing out?
Well, as a lawyer, the first thought I have is that John Bolton looks like an evil Mark Twain.
That's true.
That's first and foremost. And before I get into lots of foolishness on this Foolishness Friday, I want to observe the proper customs. But I did write something on my website this week called "MAGA is America's worst generation," and I think people they'll realize eventually, but it'll probably be too late. This is the start. Everything Trump is doing, John Bolton is a man without a country, sort of. He is a hard right guy who has no more home on the right. So he's like kind of a man with no passport politically to speak of. So this is like easy pickings because just like you said, and I'm not pointing blaming you, but you kind of qualified your statement twice with, I'm no fan of John Bolton. Right. Like the left
Correct.
Isn't a fan of John Bolton, and the right, because even though he is a hard conservative dude, he is not a Trump guy. That is all that matters to that group. And the clip you played from Tommy Lahren is another example of like, you can present facts at this point. You can provide dictionary definitions of words. They are all subordinate to the cult of Donald Trump, and that's not an exaggeration or hyperbole. That's what it is, which is why I genuinely think it is time to abandon, like anybody who, I hate this stuff with Mamdani and the guy in Minnesota, where it's like, you can have your issues, but watching Democrats run from these dudes, because I'm a Democrat that always says, if the centrist wins, vote for him. If the left, and I'm always telling my progressive friends, just, you got to vote Biden, you got to vote Harris, whatever your personal, peculiar, specific items that matter that they're not meeting up to, vote Democrat. You sort it out when you have the numbers, but we are in this place where half the country is now in a cult. Like, no exaggeration. So John Bolton is the start, because that's actually much safer than going after a left-wing person who will rile up. Like, you go after somebody beloved on the left, you will get the left to rise up and coordinate. John Bolton, it's like, F this dude. He's big Iraq war type dude, and now he's just, Trump hates him. Good, we all hate him. Go. Who cares?
And it feels like a test, right? It feels like this is the guy you use to test the stress test the system, because he'll use all the legal apparatuses that he has to fight it. We'll see if this kind of thing ends up before the Supreme Court. What would they do? What would the Supreme Court do in a situation like this? I don't think anyone can feel solid. And then once that type of precedent is set, and you can go after your enemies with the full power of weaponizing the FBI and whatnot, then I think you got to start looking around and going, okay, now who's he going to target that does have some support? Because that's, once you make this the norm, you go after all those people that Biden issued preemptive pardons to and stuff like that. You go after, people like the Obamas and stuff like that. I don't put anything past this administration as far as like them having some semblance of normalcy and going, no, that's never been done before. We're not going to do that. You start here, and this is already beyond the pale, but it won't be treated as such.
Anything. He has immunity to like keep trying different things. Like, there's no penalty to him to act judicially.
And like judge wise, we see what happens, right? Is one judge is this, one judge is that, one judge is this, one judge is that, all the way to the Supreme Court, who mostly just rules on, well, if Trump did it, it's fine. So this stuff is very dangerous.
But here's what I want to say. Aretha Franklin had a file from the FBI. There was a McCarthy era of the Red Scare. There was J. Edgar Hoover, who was going after every kind of black person. I think, who did he call the most dangerous person in America? Was it MLK? Was it Malcolm? Like, they had files on all black people who were trying to liberate black, who were not dangerous. Fannie Lou Hamer even talked about, I just want to vote. And we got to keep our phones off the line because we're getting death threats. Medgar Evers got shot in his driveway, and his crime to them was in educating people on their right to vote. These times we've been here, and yes, it's scary, but as a black person, I'm like, this is interesting. Like, we don't talk enough about the FBI files. They're trying to release files now, the King file and this and that, after 75 years. But this is, I feel like they've always been weaponized against the people that they deem their enemy. Am I wrong?
I think this could be an escalation beyond even what we've seen before. Like, I think, especially if we're talking about fascism, if we're talking about people trying to run for third time, be lifetime president, stuff like that, like other countries that have had, they say this is how it starts, the authoritarian slip is now it's just Bolton. Nobody likes him.
Right.
And then you look, it's just Liz Cheney. Okay, who cares about Liz Cheney? She had a preemptive pardon, but I don't support anything she got to say. And then next thing you know, it's somebody you do mess with. It is Biden or Hunter Biden or somebody. And then we're like, whoa, where does this stop? That's the fear I have. Is I don't know where it stops.
So what do we do now? What do we do now?
I don't know.
What I said, there's a few things, and we have to accept the fact that the Democratic Party and anybody non-MAGA, I kind of now call it just non-MAGA. There's MAGA and non-MAGA, and I like kind of like an adaptation of the Chris Rock bit. There's two types of Americans, MAGA and non-MAGA, and I hate MAGA.
We're ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side. We will not give in, not give up. We will not capitulate. We will not bow. We will not bend. We will